All right. This is an interesting situation that we've got ourselves into. We're here at the Melbourne Apartment Collection apartment here on Rowena Parade in Richmond. Across the road from the MCG, which I'll tell you what, James, if we played at the MCG today, would have been pretty spectacular. But we were at Marvel and it was still pretty good anyway. How are you sitting on this very comfortable bed next to me?
Very, very comfortable bed. I don't know if I'm comfortable, but but here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are. Cheers. Don's win. Pocket that. I'm feeling pretty good.
Nice. And
Is there anyone else around?
sitting. I can't even say it straight, mate.
Talk to me, Rob.
Sitting in the cuck chair in the corner is Ryan.
I've paid quite a lot for this evening, and I'm looking forward to the product.
We're very happy to have you here. We're very happy to have you here and to talk some Dons.
It is a strikingly good view right here.
That's right.
It looks like we're here to talk Dons. We're not starting an OnlyFans channel, despite what this camera angle may suggest.
Yet.
But yeah, thanks to Melbourne Apartment Collection for sponsoring this. A bit of fun.
It is a lovely room.
It's a really good room, and the G is there. Like, you can see it out the window. So when we do play at the G in the next couple of weeks, this is a pretty good spot. We're here to talk about the game, though, fellas. Yeah. The Dons won. It was a great first half and a very uncomfortable second half. James, immediate reactions after the game?
I felt a little bit the same, to be honest. I mean, Sydney probably a better opposition than the likes of your West Coast and North, but it had an all too familiar feeling. And I think even, when we were 30, 40 points up, I think we all knew where it was going to go, and it went there. And I'm happy to take the win, especially against Sydney, where I feel like in those tighter games or in those situations, they usually get us. So happy to walk away with the win. A little bit bittersweet with Hazy going down with a potential serious knee injury. I haven't heard anything yet.
We don't know.
I'm sure we'll find out once this is posted. But yeah, I'm happy to take the W, but hopefully things aren't too serious for Hazy. Right?
Yeah, well, with Rob was just making mention that with the celebrations in the room afterwards, that he did appear to be standing. So I mean, that's a huge positive for what looked like an ACL. But yeah, no, look, the game took its toll, mostly on my voice. I did sound a much nicer, less raspy before the game, and this is not just a consequence of the room and the vibe.
Yes.
It is an earnest voice I've got on right now. But no, look, I think despite the fact that it was a pretty underwhelming second half, it is mostly positives that I'm taking out of that game, particularly from the young brigade. I think they really stood up, and I mean, not to break the. Not to break any rules with the pot or anything, but Zach Reed was just the greatest person that I've ever seen on a football field. I'm so in love right now. I'm just I can't explain it in words, but he had, as Rob described 17 times during the game, as his legacy game. Yeah,
it was the Zach Reed legacy game, albeit against one of the worst forward lines the Sydney Swans have probably ever put out on the field, but we'll take it. And Reedy was awesome, and we know just his hard luck story that he's had trying to get out in the park, but God, he just looks so good. One, intercepting the ball, but two, his delivery out of the back line was superb. And I mean, I think the defence was the reason that we won the game. Obviously, we looked good offensively in the first half, but they were under siege in the second half. The Swans did let us off with some pretty bad kicking, but the back six really held their own. Reedy, Mackay, Jackson Pryor, I thought was really good. Yep. Andrew McGrath was awesome. They're the reason we won the game, James.
Yeah, just as you mentioned, Pryor, I know he gets a bit of stick from some of our supporters, and early days,
me included. Yep.
The Jake Kelly replacement, we needed someone to come in and fill his boots. But I think being at the game live, as I was saying before we started recording, you see so much more. And I hadn't been to the game for a couple of weeks now, and watching him kind of go back with the flight, his bravery, his courage, it's what you want from kind of your stock standard back pocket, and I think he's trying to sort of just not do any more than that. I feel like early on he's maybe trying to bite off kicks that weren't his job to do. I feel like he's found his role, and similar with Reed as well. You know, I think even some on this pod were knocking him early. I feel like he's found his feet now. He's really comfortable, and yeah, he's really shining. I think, what was it, 20 possessions, 10 marks at halftime.
Crazy.
Ridiculous.
Ridiculous. And I think losing Ridley, obviously a key kind of figure in terms of leadership in that back six, but his ball use is elite for us, and I thought Reedy stepped up with his ball use today, and there was a couple of times where no one was really wanting to bite off that kick into the middle, and Reed said, fuck it, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And he did. So yeah, I'm really enjoying what we're seeing from Reedy, not only with that defensive effort, but yeah, his ball use is really, really good.
Rob, are those uneven socks? Are they mismatched?
Yep, they are.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to. It was really irritating.
That's okay. That's okay.
Really
That's okay. Can I just point out? Ryan and I sat down. Ryan and I sat together today at the game, and we sat down, and like a minute into the game, there was a lady in front of us, and like at the back of her shirt, there was like a tag hanging out. And Ryan just leaned over to me, he's like, "That's going to really annoy me all game." And I'm like, how else OCD are you?
I am. Yeah, one of the things is, it was a really nice day sitting with Rob. Unfortunately, it will be the last time Rob ever gives me a ticket to the ground because it was just so evident. Because like I am very OCD, and as soon as she put on a jumper, I audibly said, "Oh, thank fuck," because I just didn't have to look at it anymore.
So you're telling me you've got OCD where you need everything to be perfect, and you go for Essendon?
Yeah. I mean, well, I'm all about consistency.
Yeah,
Ryan
at one point in the game, when, to be fair, it was in a moment where we kicked, maybe 6 or 7 goals in a row, whatever point there was. We were on. Essendon was looking really good, and I was speaking about how I was like, "Gee, Chad Warner hasn't done much," and Ryan goes, "Man, who would Chad Warner replace in our side?" And before he could finish his sentence, he's like, "Oh wait, like most of our players."
I literally was like this.
Sorry, forget that I said that.
I was just like, "Yeah, who do you replace?" Don't worry about it. It's fucking everyone.
Yeah, it was one. Can we talk about Nate Caddy? Because that man put in a shift today, and we were speaking about before we started this that there were things that he did that I think when you're at the ground you really take more notice of than when he was on TV. But the 2 moments that really stood out for me that like weren't just like the kicks at goals was, one was the chase down tackle on, was it Dane Rampy? And then the second one was him picking up the ball and like burning 3 or 4 people and just running with it, which I was like, oh, I did not know you could do this. Like I know they'd obviously spoken about him doing stuff in the midfield and, like he does some stuff at training, but to see him do it against another opponent, I was like, oh, no, like there's something else to this guy as opposed to just the regular forward craft that we know.
Yeah, his work rate really stood out to me today. As I said before, hadn't been to the game for a few weeks now, so getting back there, I really enjoyed seeing the work of the guys off the ball, and Caddy really stood out to me in that regard. I feel like Wright spent a lot more time in the ruck than usual. I could be well off the mark there. Maybe it was just being at the game and picking that up as opposed to watching it on TV. But I feel like Wright being in the ruck a lot of the time, it meant that Caddy was kind of one out there, but he almost kind of played that full forward, centre half forward role combined. He was happy to push right up the ground, double back. He'd push up to the wing for a lead if he needed, but then also try to get his opponent out the back as well. And then when we didn't have the ball, that's what really stood out to me. So he was happy to chase and pressure. And yeah, I think we've all known from day dot that when the ball hits the ground, he's still a live player. And I think the game's gone past forwards now where you can't be affording to not be a presence when the ball hits the ground. Your Jeremy Camerons, your Charlie Curnows, he's kind of in
your
that,
Jeremy
in that
Finlayson, who we watched just lining up for goal, and he's
on cue.
Oh, he's dobbed it.
He's dobbed it.
He's dobbed it
On cue.
Yeah.
So forwards like that can bring a bit of presence when the ball hits the ground or when the opposition have the ball, critically important. Yeah, super impressed with his effort. And yes, he makes mistakes. Yes, he's raw, but he's coming on a lot quicker than some of these younger forwards usually do.
Yeah, I think this was the blueprint of what I think we can expect from him going forward. I mean, getting a bag of 3, but being really dynamic, as you were saying, moving further down the ground. It can be the best and worst attribute of his game is that he sometimes is a bit too far from goal. But I think overall, he was really potent in front of goal. Obviously, I think it was 3 straight. But then being able to, as you said, impact further down the ground. And, Rob made mention of that moment where he just bulldozed through at least 3 or 4 Swans players. He's just got a little polish to sort out. But, for a 20-year-old key position forward, this is a really, really good sign. And I think after a couple of lean weeks he had around the start of the season, it's great to see him getting not only goals, but getting his hands on the ball a lot more.
Do you know what he is, fellas? Nate Caddy is everything that we wished Aaron Francis was.
Yeah.
And it was never more evident than today.
Explain to me what was wrong with Aaron Francis's game.
Yeah.
I mean,
Look,
most people miss goals right straight out in front.
Yes, look, I don't want to dance on the graves of people, and look, I do have a soft spot for Aaron Francis. He was someone that I really got behind when he was at Essendon, and I only wish for the best for him. But I mean, James said it before he started that it's rare for Essendon to see a player leave the club and get worse. Yeah. So, poor Aaron is all I say. Boys, I'm just going to do some more sort of ad stuff because we just need to get this in. So next few games for the Dons. So we've obviously got Western Blogs and Marvel, which, again, very convenient for this apartment because the tram's just over there. But then, listen to this. Dream time at the G. Now, James, you're from the country. I imagine you have friends and family who have to travel in for the big ground. And wouldn't it be great to come lie on a bed as comfortable as this?
It would be nice. I mean, it's a long drive, a long, weary drive from the country to lie down on a comfortable bed like this one.
Across the road from the G.
No cameras or anything involved.
No, the cameras won't be here.
This doesn't have to happen every time.
No, the cameras won't be here. You can have basic quiet.
Hang on, that was
Ryan might be.
Sorry
here.
to disappoint.
I can't. I mean, I'm gonna have to really reconsider my position.
Yeah, Ryan
I love
may be.
this room, and I do enjoy every aspect of it right now.
Yes. Obviously, we've got the Lions of the Gabba after that, but then another series of back-to-back games of the G. Obviously, Carlton and then Geelong. So. Look, if you have to travel in to come to games, this is a fantastic spot to do it, and it's affordable. It's so close to the G, and I mean, look, there's two blokes in a bed. I reckon we could probably fit 3 or 4 of us on here, if I'm being honest with you. So, again, shout out to Melbourne Apartment Collective. Let's get back to the game. Ryan, give me someone you want to talk about, good and or bad.
Okay, well, so I think we've probably cleared up Caddy and we've cleared up Reed and even Jackson Pryor. I actually would like to probably give a nice little shout out to Todd Goldstein for pretty much
old gold
getting us where we needed to be in that first half. It is fair to say that he was, like much of the team in that second half, really gassed. He was completely out of it. But I feel that in that first half, he gave us such good use of the ball. He got it to us where we needed it to be. And against someone like Grundy, despite Grundy being maybe a couple of years outside of his prime, it's no small feat to have done what he did. And I think he was really the engine in that first half where we were just all over Sydney. So I'd like to give a nice sassy little shout out to the old gold himself, the rum raisin.
We do love a bit of old gold. I think someone else who deserves a shout out, and he's a much maligned figure amongst a lot of the supporters, but another very, very good game from Andrew McGrath. And for a long period of time, I feel like he was the one really driving a lot of the run out of defence, but also some of his defensive efforts as well. Like there was a one-on-one moment with Heaney, and Isaac Heaney does not lose many one-on-ones, but McGrath just covered him. He blanketed him in that moment, and I was like, that is a really good defender. He cops a lot, but I think we really do need to praise him when he was good, and he was easily one of our best tonight.
Absolutely. And a lot of the time, being at the game again, you can see those matchups that are happening off the ball. They were rotating Warner and Heaney out of the square, and McGrath was going to them, and that's a pretty intimidating matchup for any defender, really. Combine that with the game that he had offensively, 30 plus possessions, I think.
35.
Without checking the stats, you sort of know he had 30 plus. And I thought overall his ball use was
745 metres gained. Sorry to cut you off, but
And what was his disposal?
80% efficiency,
That's
35
insane.
touches.
Yeah,
Just 35.
so that's the knock on Pidge. I don't think anyone's sitting there going, this bloke can't get the footy or give us anything offensively, but it's his ball use. And the other thing I noticed combined with his, defensive matchup on Warner and Heaney, their two most dangerous players, was he was really taking the game on. He was the one to say, right, let's go.
Yeah.
Even if there wasn't anything on,
Yeah.
let's try and make it happen. 1-2, let's try and open it up. And look, it didn't work all the time, but he was the one to initiate it.
And make those guys work back. Like, that's the thing you see with a lot of very good midfields in the comp. Like, we obviously did with Merritt today, where you drew forward. Well, if you're the guy who's on him, go, all right, well, if you're going to come sit here, well, you're going to run back with me when I get the ball.
It did feel like a directive for the club, didn't it? That it felt like today, we went slow when we go slow when we need to go slow, but there was a huge amount of time during those first half, particularly, that they went, we're going to blitz. And it felt like, as you were saying, Andy McGrath was the real architect of a lot of those pushes forward. He just ran and ran and ran, and it felt like he almost set the tone for the Sardell Hawleys and even Durham through the midfield. Just get it.
Saab was good.
Saad, yeah, and I thought that was, it felt like he really just knew his place. He made a lot of great space, which at the ground I felt that the players really didn't, a lot of players didn't utilise as well. He made great space on the wing and gets himself in a good position. And I tell you what, he's got one of the best bullet passes going around. So I really hope that the club gives him another full game next week.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if he got taken out. I'll ask you guys, I mean, I guess it's a negative, but I think more of a constructive one. So last 2 games we've played, both games we've kicked 2 goals after half-time, having established a very healthy lead. How concerned are we by this? Because let's be frank, we've played an incredibly undermanned Sydney and we've played North, who are muss, as we know. We're about to play the Doggies, who look very, very good. And then, there are other better sides that we'll play over the coming months. But, at the start of the season, I was like, oh, wow, we're running our games really well. Now I'm like, I don't think we're running our games at all. And we're kind of holding on. Is this a fitness issue on our end? Is this a youth and experience thing? Is this just other teams just, changing what they're doing for the way we've set up? How are you guys reading this, James?
I think, we haven't had much luck with the injuries, and it felt like whether it was a coincidence or whether it was a direct kind of impact. But as soon as Hayes went off, I felt like we really shut up shop.
Yeah.
Langford seemed to go behind the ball, but we just didn't want to go. Whether we didn't have trust to kind of turn the ball over going forward, like we'd done successfully for really the whole game, I'm not sure. But obviously our injury run for the entire year has been pretty woeful. Obviously when you're down on rotations, down on fresh legs, that hurts you a little bit. But I think the way I see it, it's probably just a young side kind of going into their shell a little bit and being a little bit scared to keep playing the way that they have been. And today we just spoke about it, McGrath being the architect, to use your words, Ryan, free flowing, let's play on, let's get him out the back. As soon as it started to get a little bit tight, Hayes goes off with an injury, we don't have that security behind the ball, we kind of shut up shop, went back to our old ways. And I think a couple of the players in post-match interviews last week against North sort of spoke about that a little bit as well. We kind of went into our shell. But I think that happens with the young side, and the fact that we're winning ugly. There's these close games where the pressure's on and we're scraping over the line.
Yep.
I know it doesn't look great, and we're probably not satisfied as supporters, but I think when you look at the experience or lack of in our side at the moment, these wins are really, really important.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I can only, speak from, where I'm seeing the game, which is in the cuck chair. But overall,
the chair where Chad Warner can't get a game for Essendon.
But I do think that, I think it's got a lot to do with teams reassessing what they're doing. I think as much as I like the way we're playing at times, I do think it's very obvious to figure out how to stop us. Put up a bit of a brick wall, slow us down. That definitely does it. And I think you're right. Once things start going, once we're not able to do plan A, I'm still a bit worried that we don't have a plan B.
Yeah.
And as you're saying, James, that I do think the guys kind of go, well, if I can't do it the way I want to do it, I kind of just almost they freeze. And look, as you said, it is good to still, we've won, 5 out of 6 now? So
Yeah, wow.
that is crazy good. We're getting into
We're in the 8. How funny is that?
With a game in hand, mind.
With a game in hand. And with a percentage of 90. We're in the 8.
Yeah. 90.5.
Hey. That's a very valuable
as good as it gets
0.5.
for a
That's a valuable 0.5.
Hey, it might be the difference at the end. But yeah, look, I think that it's developing. We're a young team, as you were saying. Young teams get skittish, they get nervous, and they kind of freeze up. But once we figure out, when to slow it down, when to speed it up,
Yeah.
we're gonna be a much better team, and it's just good to be winning.
Two things. Quick one. I saw on the screen on the way into the ground that the average games played for the side was 86. Bearing in mind, there's a guy who's played 300 and something in Goldie.
Merit on 200 plus.
And so that was the average. But I'll tell you my favourite play of the game, and I know, Ryan, I spoke about this to you. I'm fairly certain we had the ball in the defensive 50 and it went Reed, Sard on the wing, mark, and then Sard into 50. And was it Caddy who got the mark and then a 50?
Yeah, it was delicious.
That was my favourite play of the game. It was literally just kick, goal. And I was like, wow, that's what usually happens against us, is that it transitions so easily. So that was something that was great for me. And I think Dean Cox might need to tell Sydney players to stop running over the mark. Yeah. Just stop encroaching the mark. You think after the second 50 or 30, they would have gone, hey, maybe we should stop doing this. But they just kept doing it.
750.
Was that, just quietly, was that Brad Scott approaching the AFL?
Oh, I reckon.
Is that a direct result just a couple of weeks down the line?
Is that the AFL plant just getting in there and going?
Because, of course, they're not going to do it for Collingwood, but they just thought, we'll move it down the line and we'll sort you out, Bradley.
Yeah, we'll sort you out.
James,
we are you a
you
few.
probably would have seen it. There was a chance that there was going to be an 8th one, because there was a point where it was going down. I don't know if it's the Lockett, the Fletcher, whatever end it is, but the umpire Fisher was pleading with the Sydney player to please go back.
Stop
I don't
moving.
want to do it. I don't want to do it.
Don't make me do this. Don't make the Sydney player answer. But he gave him a good chunk of time to figure it out. But it's like, guys, what are you doing? Is there a different unit of measure in New South Wales?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there are miles or something. Gents, this has been fun. It's been a nice little reaction. Once again, we're going to thank Melbourne Apartment Collection.
Thank you so
Collective
much.
Collection. It's one of the two. Thank you again for this incredible hospitality here in this amazing apartment. Piers is waiting for a drink. I need another beer, but we're about to wrap up, so I reckon I'll hold until we're done.
All jokes aside, it is a lovely, lovely apartment.
It is a really nice apartment. Like I said, it is literally across the road from the MCG. So even if it's a game at Marvel, like I came here, I got on the tram, I was at the game 15 minutes later.
I'm confident Old Gold could kick a ball from here to the G.
I reckon he could. I would back it. I would back it in.
I'm quietly upset I don't have any Old Gold right now.
Yeah.
Then another delivery.
Yeah, that's how good it is. It's a fantastic spot. There are apartments that you can obviously book. So whether it's you're coming in for a Dons game, maybe you want a staycation with the squeeze, or you live out of town and you're coming to Melbourne for something. These are. Yeah, if you want 20 blokes in one room, whatever it might be.
That's next door.
If you're coming into Melbourne,
What was that, Rob?
If you're travelling to Melbourne or the CBD, as my timing after told me that we've done 20 minutes, I need to finish. These are really, really nice apartments, and we're very thankful for Melbourne Apartment Collection for sponsoring this.
It's gone downhill quickly.
This has been fun. Thanks everyone. We'll see you Monday.